I need to show you a video of me doing stand-up badly because you showed one last time. And 3,
I tried to, but I was just so talented.
I know, yeah, you tried to.
Just like intangible red flag territory. Like he's not saying anything specific,
interesting.
But like just as he's talking, you're like, do not be in a room alone with this man.
Yeah, 100%.
So we can all love each other. No.
All right, great. Okay, great. This is great. What about him is an intangible red flag? Is it a way he appears, way he talks, hand gestures?
Do you know what the word intangible means?
All right, I'm gonna go have a piss. Ashley, you're in charge.
I'm in charge. Bitches.
I went down on a juicy poozy, and
uh-oh, got a fart, and this chair's gonna make it reverberate. Hey, wait! Hey!
Oh no! Everybody else,
Hey!
What's going on? I'm just waiting for music. I thought you were getting music. Oh, I thought you were just getting music.
How my penis gets born.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Here's a shed.
The ice cream cones came with a little metal packet that is just full of sugar. It's just full of sugar to be poured into the cones.
What has the Japanese not gotten a hold of, perfected, and then when everyone was like, "You did it," they went, "And now we'll begin." And you're like, No, you fixed it. It was fixed. Do not break it. Like, no, we got to break this.
I still have some more questions.
Go ahead.
John Hastings is on America's Got Talent for 5 minutes, and now he's got houses in LA and London.
That's right.
Yeah.
You kept a house in London?
Yeah, I've kept a house in London.
Update: not sugar.
There's no fluid tasting enough to warrant sucking it out of him. Yeah. No, but it was did he do it when he was then in the band when they were the 4 Bee Gees that brief time before then his heart exploded?
Wow.
I'm not saying anything that didn't happen. That is what happened to him.
I'm a predator.
And it was going awesome. And we even started having drinks at a bar, and we each had girlfriends with us, whatever. We're having a great time until I got comfortable enough to go, hey, we share a birthday,
As someone who's been eternally single.
Go ahead. Is it your fault? Yes. No, sorry.
Stop tweeting after your dates, Ashley. Stop tweeting after your dates.
Oh, bad news, Paul. You're getting a Batman bed.
This is not bad news. I am so pleased.
Support them.
But you know what's more important than helping people's mental health?
Fuck you, John.
I'm just saying. Tom, you're a comedy fan.
Here's what happened. So I came up after she finished a couple times.
How did you
I'm not one's not enough.
What
you go for 2. That's how you start it out.
Smoother crunches.
And then Jesus, boom. And so so when I emerged, I went to kiss her, and she just grabbed my face and she sucked it all out of my beard.
So hurtful.
That's a literary reference. Oh no, I gotta.
Hey, you can't tie me out now. I'm the only one here. Books, pages. Right. Verb, noun, adjective. Nice. Someone get me that.
I'm very prone to bullying.
No, you're talking about Andy Gibb.
I am talking about Andy Gibb. Pardon me.
Get your Gibbs straight if you want to come at me, bro.
Sorry.
Those nice bearded men and their Aryan friends seem like they're doing very different shows.
Marylane's got pink eye. She touched her in hole.
I tried to. It crawled away too quickly.
It's difficult with tea. Sometimes you try and tune it and you get Assam.
I'm officially declaring it. Jordan is the Governor General of the stream.
God damn it, guys. I took a Ritalin today. I can only focus on one thing at a time.
What is happening right now? Two screens. I want to have two screens.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. Paul and I were walking through the park, and we walked past the tennis courts. A ball had gone over the fence. Paul went down, grabbed it, threw it over, and the young woman who was playing said, "Thank you, sir."
Oh,
ouch!
Right, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna fucking take over this fucking festival, and you're not gonna fucking stop me. Why? All these fucking robots are all around the fucking city, right?
Yeah, don't knock a spit roast till you try it.
Just hang on. Can you just keep going? Make an appeal right now for us to stop this whole thing. Go ahead, Tom.
I think we should see Paul's face for this. There's going to be tears.
No, your junk in the trunk is not as prominent. Make the camera go lower now. Jesus. Now bounce your bottom, sir.
Oh no, the Canadians are coming.
Chris, John, and Irish Ashley combine to make the ultimate team, better than any wet dream. Welcome to the Untitled Twitch stream. John's the CEO and Boomer. Ashley's the real leader. Chris brings the vibes and juices as our enjoyment increases. Welcome to the Untitled Twitch stream.
Oh, you're muted. I'm not. Yeah. Can't hear you. Can't hear you at all. Yeah, that's right. Doesn't just bring vibes and juices, also brings tech professionalism. Can't hear a word you're saying. Oh, you were back for a second.
Hang on.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, there you go.
Hitting
Now
hell.
we can hear you. Now we
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I don't know why, but that defaulted to come through my game capture card.
That's weird.
StreamYard is just doing its own thing these days.
Yeah, I always have to like triple check. I don't know, because it's always wrong. Every time I sign in, it's wrong.
It's always wrong.
And I always have to change it. And even like sometimes it'll be like, you guys will tell me that my mic's low, and I'll check, and it's the right mic, but it's the default one. Not, it says like default, which is the one that I've set, which is my H4.
Yeah.
And then it's like the same one, but it doesn't say default on it, and that one works better. And I don't know why.
Even though it's the same microphone.
It's
I've
the
had that
exact
as
same
well.
microphone.
Tech is so stupid.
I'm guessing Steve said also brings the volume, so I'm assuming that I was loud, so I just turned my volume down a little bit.
Yeah.
What's happening?
It is probably, Kirsten, it is probably because I changed the setting from my own stream earlier. Default greatest Canadian band in history. Oh, is that the name of the
Shut your mouth, Decarb. You shut your fucking mouth. They are so bad. They're so bad. They're one where, like, when Jordan and I were doing the podcast, we spent, Default had one song, and I swear we spent half the episode talking about how fucking shit that song was.
Oh,
and
shit.
there were at least 17 songs on that album. And we just had to blow through so many. It was like, fine. But back to Default. Fuck this band. They're terrible. There was this weird moment in Canadian alt rock where everyone was Nickelback.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh, cool. Thank you, Steve. So it was like, so Nickelback blew up, obviously. It was the biggest band in the world. And then there was all these little baby Nickelbacks that started showing up. And they all sounded exactly the same. They had the same sort of like, sort of fucking vocals. It was like, okay, you can't sing, but you can growl. That's fine. Same guitar riffs. They looked the same. They all looked like they could be, like, you know how teams have benches? There's like starters and then there's the replacement players. They looked like they were on Nickelback's bench. It was such a weird time. Everyone, what I love is I keep finding out that everyone in different areas had different amalgam names for the bands. So the biggest three in Canada were, it was Nickelback, obviously, Theory of the Dead Man, and Default. And my brother used to call them Theory of the Nickel Fault, which I thought was so good. And then since doing the podcast, other people have come forward with their own acronyms for it that they'd made up while they were listening. It's like, I'm so glad it wasn't just us. You know, when you have a realization, it's like, this is crazy, right? And then other people go, it totally is crazy. I've been thinking about that. You're like, oh, I feel so much better. I feel absolutely
your insanity is validated. Yeah.
So speaking of insanity, did you see my posts?
No.
someone made up a fake Facebook and Instagram
I
account of
did.
me.
I did see this.
Full fakes, and are like creep messaging friends of mine.
That's so weird that they're actually doing it to your friends.
Yeah, I mean, they might be doing it to strangers as well, but strangers didn't know to message me about it. So I got a message from a friend of mine, Hannah Becker, who's a great comic. She's based in Barcelona, and I met her when I went out there with a friend of the show, Max White, and she just sent me this message. So first I got a message from Facebook being like, an account of you has been reported as possibly fake, and I've had my account deleted in the past. Because someone thought, I don't know, I never got a reason out of Facebook. My account that I'd had for 15 years was just gone one day, and I couldn't get it back. So I was like, fuck, am I going to lose it again? And then I got these messages from Hannah being like, heads up, this happened. And they used my pictures, and from like, not like profile pictures, like deep cut pictures.
Really?
They used my name. They said where I was from was weird. It said I was from Canadian Texas.
That is where you're from. I don't know what you're talking about.
Why would you do so much work and then make up a town? Why would you
Canadian Texas? What even is Canadian Texas?
Not
I want to
place.
know what Canadian Texas is, though.
I mean, it's Alberta. Alberta is Canadian Texas. It's where all our oil fields are. It's where all the bankers wear cowboy hats but have never ridden a horse.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a nightmare
Alberta.
out there. Obviously, the worst COVID. Obviously. And
so, do you know if they've messaged other people?
So they've definitely messaged one other person. So Hannah sent me the picture, the link to the account, which I checked. It's gone now, which is good. It was gone within about 20 minutes.
Oh,
and
right.
Yeah, what is Canadian? Sorry, y'all. Can I have some maple syrup on them grits? And
I want this to be a character.
She feel free to put in phrases you want me to say in Canadian Texas in the chat, and I will do what I can. So she sent me the link to the account, which I checked and I took screenshots of. And then she was like, here's how I knew it wasn't you. And she sent me 2 messages that had been sent by the account. And the first one said, hello, sexy. And then the second one sent a few hours later said, hi, sexy. And she sent me a message being like, I got these. And I was like, I don't think that's Chris. That's not really in line with the relationship that I've had with him in the past. No.
Yeah.
And then I got messages from another comic that I met in Spain, Helen, and she sent me the screenshot of the messages, but she'd gotten them on Instagram. So they started an Instagram account of me as well. And
somebody really went to deep fake you.
Yeah. And they tried to start a conversation with her, but they got a bunch of weird details wrong. And so she was like, yeah, this is weird. And then she sent me a message an hour later and they changed the name and the picture on the account. So the account's still there, but it's not me anymore. Oh. And she answered and she was like, why did you used to be called Chris Betts? And they were like, oh, that was a mistake. Sorry. So I don't know what their deal is.
Shady.
I don't know what they're trying to accomplish or what the plan is.
I mean, they were just like, this guy.
Right away.
This guy fucks. This guy is gonna get us so much action. This is the way in. This is the guy, the face that we need. Look at him. He's so trustworthy and attractive, and everybody's just gonna be putty in our hands with really this guy as our face.
And then I guess like they must have messaged women, and women were all like, "Chris doesn't flirt with anybody. Why are you doing this?" And they were like, fucked it. Sorry. God damn it. Where's John Hastings? Let's get John Hastings up here.
Yeah, you're going to get further with John Hastings.
Yeah, Captain Creep, John Hastings.
Creep.
We all know it. There's something intangible about him, you know?
Can't quite put your finger on it. You just know that you probably don't want to be left in a room alone with him.
So that was a weird thing to find, and it's funny because like two separate comics have been like, that's a bit of an ego boost, eh? And it's like they weren't pretending to be me professionally; they were just catfishing people. It's not like they were like, this guy's famous, and so we're gonna we're going to capitalize on that. They just went, no one knows who the fuck this. It's the opposite. It's actually quite rude, and it hurts my feelings because I want to get to the like. It's not like I'm like Sharon Stone on Tinder, where people are like, "You're not Sharon Stone." She was. Did you hear about that? She was like complaining that she couldn't get laid because she was trying to go on Tinder, and everyone was like, "You're not fucking Sharon Stone. Get out of here."
I didn't hear about that with Sharon Stone. I think Zac Efron had the same experience, though.
That's so funny.
That he was like using dating apps, and people were just like, "You're not Zac Efron."
Yeah, of course. And why would you believe that he was? Catfishing's a real thing, and Zac Efron lives in another universe.
He lives in another universe, exactly. But I remember hearing him in an interview do that, and then easily 2 or 3 years later, I was on one of my very brief stints on an online dating app. I fucking hate them. You know, I'll go on for 24 hours every 2 years and realize I hate it and leave again.
You can't do what's the foot move on a dating app? How do you? What emoji do you use?
Weirdly, it's. I was going to come up with a joke and it's not there anymore. I've missed the moment.
Kirsten, this is great. Have you seen his face recently? He's a catfish now if he uses his younger images.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor.
But I came across I think it was Tinder or Bumble I was using. I think it might have been Bumble because I definitely binned Tinder as an option a long time ago. But I came across an account that had Zac Efron's photos in it. But it was you know how some people started using Tinder as or dating apps as like a marketing scheme. So it was like,
that checks out. That makes a lot of sense.
So people would go in or they would create an account and just match with everybody, and it would be, hey, come see this thing or whatever. I don't know. I've known people have used it to sell like their Fringe show.
Okay. Ishan did that. Ishan Akbar did it for a while. I don't know if it worked, but he did it. Anyway,
I've known, some people use it for their Fringe show and stuff, where it's like, but they'll say it in the profile. They'll say, hey, come see my Fringe show, swipe right if you want to know more or whatever. So this one was promoting his latest movie, and it was some sort of marketing account. And so they had Zac Efron's photos.
Studio.
But it was like I don't even know if it was from the studio, man, but it was some sort of promotion thing. Weird. It wasn't trying to be Zac Efron, but it was still like a weird thing. And I just remember being like, yeah, if this sort of shit is happening, that's why people don't believe you're Zac Efron if you're trying to use a dating app.
Yeah, of course. And why would they? We know that there are secret dating apps for famous rich people.
Yeah.
We know that there are that we're not allowed on. One of them is called Raya, because I listened to a podcast with Andy Richter, and he talks about going on Raya because he's recently divorced and he's got to be in his 50s now. But he's like, I don't know how to meet people. It's COVID. And he was saying, he's like, it sucks because everyone's so fucking young. Like, I don't want to be like 19-year-olds. And also, why do these 19-year-olds have so much money? But he's just like, he's talked to a couple other famous people on his podcast, which is a great podcast, by the way. We're not sponsored by Andy Richter's podcast, but I'd happily be. It's a very good listen. But and he talks to other people and they're like, yeah, sometimes it works out, but for the most part, it's weird because you see people you work with.
Okay.
Because it's like a small area. Like you have to be recommended by someone. You have to be hot enough, or if you're not hot enough, you have to be famous enough to make up for how not hot you are.
Right. Okay.
Which, by the way, is sort of how American Apparel used to hire. I found out. Because I used to sleep with a girl who worked at American Apparel, and she said that whenever they got resumes in, you didn't even read it. You would just, in the top right-hand corner, you'd mark them out of 100. And if it was anything less than 80, just throw it away. They're not going to hire.
The world's so shit sometimes.
Yeah. That's Steve. That's my brand buddy. Steve Mooney says, you have your own podcast you don't promote, but are happy to promote others.
We're happy to promote ones that might be viable enough to sponsor our show. I don't know the Andy Richter podcast, but I trust Chris's judgment. So
it's just very nice. It's just nice conversations. Do you know who Andy Richter is?
No.
He was Conan's sidekick.
Okay.
Yeah. So he sat on the couch and just said very funny things occasionally. And that was how he made his living for 25 years.
Right.
Yeah. This is
Can
wild
somebody
life.
pay me to do that, please? That's, I mean, come on.
I mean,
Why
all you
are there
gotta do
people
is
that have made a living like that?
yeah, and he didn't even know Conan when he got the job. He got a job as a writer first. They were testing Conan because he'd never had a show before. And they were doing camera tests, and Conan is like this weird ball of energy. And so Robert Smigel asked him, he was like, can you just sit with him while he's doing this? Because he's so uncomfortable. And apparently they were so funny together that the producers were like, let's just fucking chuck Andy out there.
That's
And
great.
then he stayed. He left for a few years in the middle because he was sick of being a sidekick, understandably. Got his own sitcom, Andy Richter versus the Universe, which was very funny and was canceled unfairly, I think. I was a big fan at the time.
Did you base Chris Betts versus the audience on that title?
No, I'd forgot that was the name of it up until I was listening to the podcast. But I loved that show. Like, I really loved it.
I feel like you were subtly influenced by that show.
if so, I love it, man. If I can have an Andy
Unconsciously.
Richter reference in my fucking show, love it. That's a comedy deep cut.
That's great.
But yeah, no, so like I never got to do dating apps because I met Sadaf just before Tinder kicked off.
You have missed nothing. You would hate it. You would hate it. I think you'd be on my side with this.
Full hate it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like texting people I know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like, you guys in the chat, in the Discord,
Oh, yeah.
you and John
I
are like
mean-
very active, and then I come
Yeah.
in after 9 hours and I'm just like, quick summation. Yes, no, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Goodbye. Like,
It's really excellent.
I can't
I always
stand
feel bad that you have so much to catch up on, but I also enjoy talking to John, so fuck you.
I love it. I love reading it. I'm glad you guys are having a good time.
Oh, well,
but,
that's
like,
good.
I just can't. I just can't get involved. I can't stand texting people,
Yeah.
which I feel bad for because Sadaf's so far away, and we'll text
Yeah.
for a little bit, and I hit 10 minutes, and I'm like, I have to stop immediately. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I don't really like it that much. I'll send a few messages, but I don't like to have like a full texting relationship. You know, it's just not necessary.
It's just weird. I'd rather just see you, and if I
Yeah.
can't see you, then it's like,
Call.
enjoy your life. I'll see you when I'm in your city again. I got a message from a very good friend of mine whose birthday it is today, and I need to message her actually. A couple of years ago, and she was really upset because we hadn't talked in like a year and a half, and she was like, I feel like we're close, like you're my friend. And I was like, and I always will be, and we're not going to talk until we're in the same city, and that's just how it's going to be. And I love you so
Yeah.
much, and that's just the truth of me.
Yeah, I have a few friends like that where even if we don't keep in touch, we are solid friends, and we'll always pick up where we left off. And I'm not a big texter, but I also do have a lot of social anxiety and paranoia. So I do occasionally kind of get to a place where I'm like, I'm not really sure if I still have that person in my life in the same way, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it
Like,
can
I
be hard to
really
know.
start to self-doubt, really get in on myself about it. But over the past couple of years, there's been a few people where I've realized, oh, this is just nonsense in my head. Like, and a few different things have happened that have made me go, it's okay. It's okay. People don't dislike you as much as you think you do, as much as you think they do. So it's not that bad.
I got a very nice message from a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a while, and he's sort of similar to me in that, like, just not that in contact.
Mhm.
And it was just a quick app being like, hey man, I think about you.
Yeah.
And I was like, thanks, dude. Like, that's very
That's
nice.
really nice. Yeah.
Because he's
I mean-
one of those guys where it's like, he means the world to me. And well, you know him actually. I'll put the name in the private chat.
Oh.
Like, he means the world to me. Like, I love this guy. But we just don't
Oh,
talk
yeah,
that
of
often.
course. Yeah.
And it was like, but he's like a brother. Like, I fucking love this guy. And
Aw.
and so getting that was like, that's nice. Like, it's good to know, you know?
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I have that with a couple of friends. There's a couple of people where I'm like, oh, we have a bond, like fully do. And one of them I didn't really speak to for a lot throughout the past number of years. And just in the past 2 years, maybe 3, we've sort of been finding our way back to each other in terms of keeping in touch a little bit more.
Nice.
And it's really, really nice. And I got a message from them today to, she lives down in London. And so I got a message from her today saying, I'm booking us tickets to see Dylan Moran in June in London.
Sick.
And now I'm like, I'm going to fucking go to London in June. I'm going to totally plan my life around that.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm so excited. I am so excited because now I'm like, right, that's going to happen. That is something I'm going to work towards for the next 6 months. And it means now I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to London in June. Let's start fucking booking gigs in. Let's start doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
that's perfect
kind of
amount of
exciting.
time as well. 6 months is like, you need that. If you're going to start book, you need to book those shows this week. Like, they fucking fill up. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's going to be so much fun.
So I'm coming to fucking London, bitches.
That's a great way to stay in touch with a friend. I got another friend of mine who he moved to South London, like south. Like you have to get off the tube, get on another type of train to get there. Excuse me. It was 2 hours to get to his place from my place. And so I just never saw him. He was just too far away. And so we just had a deal where if a band was coming to town that we thought the other person would like, we just buy 2 tickets. And it was like, heads up, we're going to see this band. And so it was great. It was a night out. It was a thing. Like money had been spent, so you couldn't bail.
Yeah.
And it was like an event, and we would always meet in the center of town because there were no gigs where I lived. There were no gigs where he lived. So it was like a perfect in between. Fucking wonderful.
That's great. Yeah. It's nice when you can find a way to maintain maintain a relationship with somebody who means a lot to you, but your lives have gone different ways. It is really, I think it's really special. And yeah, I think definitely now with the lockdown and everything, a lot of people are realizing that online conversation is not the be all and end all. Like if it's not happening, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Like I've noticed a huge, mostly. I don't know if it's just the circle of follower, like people that I follow, but a huge uptick in messages over the last year being like, if I don't answer you, it's probably just my crippling anxiety. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not.
Yeah.
And I see that
a lot
through
of
the
people.
roof.
I think as well, it kind of, we just had to come to that mutual understanding because for lockdown, it's like everybody was at home. Everybody was online.
Yeah.
In theory, there's no excuse for not replying to people. But it just is so mind-boggling and twisty and not real that it is really difficult sometimes. Even if you're somebody who's into it, it's still difficult.
Yeah, and also it was like, especially during lockdown, I was like, they're gonna ask me what I'm doing and it's nothing, and I got nothing to talk about. So it's sort of like I remember I had a nice time. I realized that I was Glenn Wool and I were watching football at the same time via Twitter, and we ended up like just sort of live messaging during a game, and we went for about 45 minutes, and then we realized we were watching different games. We were both just watching football.
You were watching how much like talking about, hey, that was a great goal, or like specific referencing had you covered
so
before
much.
You realized?
So much. And it wasn't until there was like a wild person in the crowd, like they cut to someone that really fucking stood out. And Glenn was like, what's the deal with this guy? And I was like, what guy? What are you talking about? And he's like, oh, they'll cut back to him in a second. You must have just missed him. And then within about 3 minutes, we're like, we're absolutely watching different things. We're not watching the same thing. This is so stupid. But it was fun. I had a great time. But
yeah, that's so funny.
But that was the only kind of thing that I could message around, because then there's something happening that I could comment on, as opposed to like, well, I'm in my house, being safe.
Yeah.
Trying to learn another skill that I'll do for a week and then quit.
Yeah. How many hobbies did you take up in early lockdown?
I started making a video a day. That was early. The first one was called Top Pro Life Tips, and those were just very silly. And I like those. Like one of them was how to juggle, and the tip was just tell people that you can juggle. They'll believe you. No one wants to see. And that was it. That was the whole video. They were always like really short. They were like 10 seconds. And then I did topical jokes for about 8 weeks. Like 3 minutes of topical jokes 5 days a week, which was a great writing exercise. And then I just got bummed out from reading the news every fucking day. Then there was chess, origami, drawing, guitar, Twitch, screenwriting, a lot, yoga. There's more, and I can't remember the knot tying.
Nice.
Which I still,
can you do a monkey fist?
I still got my my knot tying ropes. I keep in the hand.
Cute.
It's a very nice. It's like my version of knitting. I can just sit there and just sort of tie knots.
Have you learned a monkey fist yet?
I don't know. It wasn't in my book. This is literally, it's a knot tying setup for children, which I don't know if you can see that. Oh, let me turn off the light here.
Bright.
Let me turn off the ring light.
So
can you see it's like a Hardy Boys style cover?
Is this like a Scout honor book or something?
No joke. It's for like 7-year-olds. But there's a lot of great knots in here. There's a lot of really useful knots. So yeah. So that's that was one of them. So there's definitely more that I've forgotten. There's 100% more that I've forgotten. But it was a constant effort to just do something. Because I couldn't write jokes. I couldn't bring myself to write.
No, I couldn't either.
Jokes.
Couldn't write stand up at all. Couldn't write at all.
I couldn't believe anyone that could. It was started writing like daily essays or just like missives. Started writing those, not necessarily like diary because it's not really who I am, but like I just pick a topic and just write about it. Write 500 words on it. That didn't last long. Fucking tons. What about you?
So I started embroidery and cross stitch.
Yeah.
They didn't last long because
you're a white girl in your late 20s. That checks out. That's
I used to do cross stitch a lot when I was a kid. I really, really loved it. And then it became something that I wasn't able to do when I got sick. So because my motor skills just deteriorated so much. And so I tried to pick it up again in lockdown, and I did a cross stitch, and then I started an embroidery, and I started another cross stitch, and I was doing pretty well. I should have stuck with the cross stitch. The embroidery turned me way off.
Okay.
Because embroidery, it makes no sense to me. It just, even though it's technically easier, I feel like it comes out messy. I just, no.
Okay. I'm not sure I know the difference.
So cross stitch is where you basically make an image by making little X's. It's almost like pixelated.
Okay.
As an image. And then embroidery is where you're kind of doing longer stitches. So you're kind of filling it in a lot quicker in terms of a shape and everything.
Okay. No.
You're not getting this.
No.
I don't think
all that makes sense in theory.
Yeah.
That's can't picture it. No idea. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, look it up. You might be able to see the difference. You also might not.
Well, spelt stitch wrong. That's a start. Yeah. I know this. The things that come in like little wooden circles, and people write like swear words on them now.
Yeah.
And embroidery. Looks the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's debatable.
I'm sure it's not, but yeah, it's the same thing.
They're very different physically to do. It's like a different process. So they can end up looking very similar, but I enjoy cross stitch. I don't like embroidery. So I was doing those. I did try kind of drawing and painting a little bit, but I've lost all ability to do those since I got sick as well. And basically, I tried to go back to a lot of the things that I stopped being able to do when I was sick, and realized very quickly that I still have very weak motor skills as a result of lingering illness defects, and got very depressed because of all of these things.
Yeah.
So, there was a little bit of that. And then I took up roller skating, but
I remember
that's not binned yet.
Yeah.
It's not binned yet.
Yeah.
It got put on hold because I injured my foot.
Yes, I remember the injury as well. It's fun to be able to track some of these.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that wasn't entirely my fault, and then it's just been too goddamn cold since my foot. I was busy then, and then it's been too cold. You did not look at that.
It's a sheep shank, baby.
Nobody's ever used a sheep shank for anything.
I used to use them because I used to sail. Your brother uses sheep shanks all the time, guaranteed.
Maybe.
It's a very useful
What else did I do? I mean, Twitch, obviously. I got like fully back into gaming, but that hasn't died off really. I'm still playing games because I wasn't playing games that much before the pandemic, but it really, seeing everybody on Twitch, I was really like, oh, I miss that. I miss that from being a kid. So I bought a Nintendo Switch and started playing games again. So that was another one. Got into tarot. That was one of the things I got into, which I still really like.
Just ticking off the white lady stuff. Just cross stitch, embroidery, tarot. It's gonna be you're gonna have like a goop selection soon.
I fully would have taken up making my own paper, recycled paper, if that wasn't such a messy and space consuming endeavor. It's all very, very white girl. Very white girl.
I mean, that's all my shit was white guy stuff. Origami and shit. Haikus. I got into haikus. I forgot about haikus.
I also bought a load of origami paper and did a little bit of it, but I didn't really get back into it that much, to be honest. I did origami a lot when I was recovering from my surgery 6 years ago. I loved it. And then I thought I would get really back into it again, and I just had no interest.
I still like it, but I made like one swan and then just walked away. I was like, nailed it, done, origami accomplished. Look at who we have. Oh, Train Hastings. What's up, buddy?
Not much. I'm on a severely delayed train in the southwest of England.
Oh, sounds like Bristol to me.
I mean, I am by a temple, and I was just drinking some mead.
Because it's Temple Mead Station. It's
That's
Bristol
right.
Temple Meads. Ashley, do you get it?
Do you have a pun?
I don't know what that is.
He's near it.
Train
It's called
station.
the name of the station, but he's
okay.
Temple Mead. He did it.
Yeah. I was just
I've never been there, so
it's lush. You should move to Bristol, Ashley. Why don't you move to Bristol?
Yeah, it would suit you.
would it?
Yeah.
Is Bristol's near Bath, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes,
I have been to Bristol then. I've been to the bridge. I've been to that bridge thing.
That's Toronto. You're thinking of Toronto.
No, there's a bridge thing in Bristol. Do you know what Bristol reminded me of? Was that movie Robots?
Oh,
do you remember that animated movie Robot? Yeah, the Clifton Suspension Bridge. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know that. I wandered
Do you
there
remember
when I
that
got there
movie?
too early. I've never seen Robots. I meant the suspension bridge. I've never seen Robots.
Robots was an animated movie years ago, and it was excellent. But it was this real kind of metropolis thing, and it was all like buildings on top of buildings, and I don't know. Bristol just reminded me of that because it's got this big hill and it's all these stacked houses.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the way.
Great.
Good times.
John, how was David's show?
So fun. I wish all shows were like that. It was just in a record store. There was obviously an intensely weird hippie type lady that's not from England, as there always should be at those sort of gigs. Just like a of course, she's like involved with the record shop it's in, so like super intense and fun. Oh, it was wild.
Sick. Did they give you like a free bargain bin record?
No, they should have. I almost bought a hoodie. Thought about it. I really want to get that Jamali Maddox T-shirt, and also I want to record an album in the place where David's show is, because it's just like a cool, like, oh, this is pretentious and weird to do an album here, but this would be very fun.
Yeah,
we're in a record
That's a
shop.
good idea.
Yeah, I'm currently bullying him into running an Edinburgh preview. Bear with me, and, but I don't think he's susceptible to my bullying. But yeah, it was very fun. I got a bit involving a harmonica that seems to be working pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a harmonica now.
You didn't do that at your preview in Edinburgh, did you?
I know I added it. It's a joke I added to after the Edinburgh preview.
Right.
That fixes a problem I had, but now I have a new problem, which is the show's now over an hour. Definitely. It still doesn't have an ending. So we got to do
nice. The ending is you playing the harmonica, obviously.
I think it's going to be a bunch of things at this point. It's getting pretty dumb.
Like a one-man band, like the kick drum on the back and the cymbals and the harmonica on the mouth.
Please do a one-man band.
You're not far off.
Infuriating. That would, oh god, it would be so loud in an Edinburgh Fringe venue.
It would be awful. It would be so bad, but I want you to do it so much.
The one problem with the harmonica is it's not like it's in a bunch of different keys. It's just in one key, so it's just only specific songs, and you can't really play them more that you can just.
That's how all harmonica players do it. I've got a harmonica in the key of C right behind me.
I know, I got one in the key of C as well, but it's not like
let's jam. Let's just do that. You on the
watch
train,
me
so
get
loud
off.
into the mic.
Someone would drop kick me. Like I assume I would just be murdered.
Through the mask.
Kill him. I mean, of all the trains, Bristol is the one that's always delayed.
That's a fucking nightmare. And you have to go back to. Are you going back to Paddington?
No, I've had this before.
Oh Jesus Christ!
No. The train is going back to Paddington.
Aha.
The first week I was staying in Paddington. I can reveal this now. I was literally staying across the street from the station. So the train was like almost an hour late, and I just walked right on in, just right over to my hotel.
You're the only person that ever benefited from that. If you're trying to get home from Paddington Station at say 1 a.m,
two buses.
Just stay. Just fucking stay in Paddington. It's not worth it.
Disagree. Because Chris, this is the problem, Chris. This is why Chris started smoking when he really hit the road in England. Because so much of your time in England is just, I gotta walk for an hour. I'm gonna have 5 cigarettes.
Yep, there is a lot of it. I always went home. I never got it, but I always wished I had every time. It's that second night bus. It's that half-hour wait for the second night bus that you're like, fuck this.
I remember one time, it was an unparalleled, the entire trip. I was coming from somewhere, and it was literally, I walked on the train, doors closed, we got to Paddington. It was like one of these, it was probably Bristol or Rath. I got to the bus station, bus arrived, got to the second one, bus arrived, like everything was perfect for like I couldn't take a false step. It was amazing.
And then it was hijacked by terrorists, the last one.
Yeah. I mean, I was on a train when the London Bridge thing happened, and arriving at Euston when that was going on was wild. Because we pulled in and it was still happening.
Oh, wow.
And Euston was just surrounded by police. And my entire family doesn't know London geography, so everyone called me and is like, "Are you dead?" And it's like, "Nope, I'm not even in the city right now. All good. Stand down."
Is that the Millwall one?
That is the Millwall one.
That's my favorite one. Millwall, and just jumps at the guy.
It's even better. He said, "Fuck off. I'm Millwall," and then glassed him. It's because a bunch of people have. I almost bought a Millwall T-shirt. I love it because it says, "Nobody likes us and we don't care," and it's a cartoon lion. I just think it's very cute. Yeah. The train is now moving. I'm going to lose you guys, so I'm going to hang up. I'll check back in a station.
Safe ride. Okay. Yeah.
Bye.
Millwall's one of those brands that when I got to the UK, I realized like, oh, if you wear that, you're probably racist. That's exciting.
Okay.
That's yeah. It's
I've
just
never
one of those
heard of it
teams.
before.
Yeah, well, they're not very good. I don't think they played their football team. They're not very
Okay.
good. Their fans are racists, and so it's just like, well, let's just not engage with this brand at all. I was like, when I found out that Stella was the drink of hooligans.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. There we go. Yeah, Millwall were famous for football hooliganism, not football. Yeah, the Millwall firm. Those are some very mean boys. They're not nice boys. They're mean boys.
Oh dear. Yeah, there's a lot of mean boys. There's a lot of those around.
So many fucking mean boys.
Scroobius Pip is the only Millwall fan I know of who isn't trash.
I wonder what that's like to be born into a fan base where everyone's a cunt.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, but you still like you love that team, but everyone around you is just a monster.
I mean, I'm sure it's
It's like being white.
Yeah. It's just like being white. Or English. You call him Scoobius Pup. Oh no, I'm gonna muddle his name up with that now forever. You know when you don't have a mistake thing that you make on something and then somebody like makes you aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all you can think of. So with a lot of customer service stuff, something that you will always have to say is make sure you check your junk or spam folder for our emails.
Yeah.
And my first day on a job, somebody said to me, look, you're going to end up saying spunk folder.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't think I ever would have realized that was going to be something I was going to have to worry about until you told me it was.
Yeah, don't think about an elephant. I do that to Sadaf on purpose. I just
Oh, you're such a dick. That's terrible. What do you
do
do
it all the
to her?
time. I just get things wrong on purpose. I sing. She calls it formationing, and I just sing the wrong words to songs in the tune of that song, and she hates it. Oh, she hates it so much. But it's so funny. It's funny every time. It's funny every time.
The more I learn about you, the more admiration I have for your wife.
Yeah. It's all just mischief. That's it. It's just
Pure
constant mischief. Yeah, just silly. It's just funnier to get things wrong.
Do you know what it is? It's the kind of stuff that you love to hate. Yeah. It's not actual hate. It's just like, oh, I hate that I love this and I love that I hate it.
That's our whole relationship. That's her reacting to everything that I do. She's like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this funny? And I go, because I'm adorable.
Yeah, that is your whole being.
It's so fun. It's so fun. It's such a great way to live. Guys, if you don't have any mischief in your life, start injecting it. Just start ruining small things. Just
tiny little itty bitty things.
Just tiny little stuff. Just get it wrong. It's such a good time. It's very much the drummer. Was it the drummer for Rush? Who was the drummer that we kept getting wrong? Oh, the drummer from Kiss. Remember when I kept trolling John with the drummer from Kiss?
I think I vaguely remember it, but I think I also didn't know what the troll was.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who the drummer from Kiss is.
Yeah, we do it to you a lot. We do it to you a lot.
You do it to me a lot.
Yeah.
Point Break?
Point Break, absolutely. Yeah, big one.
You guys do it to me a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, I love doing it to John because it's fun with you, but you don't know what's happening. So
I never know what's happening.
Because he 100% knows it's happening.
He knows it's happening.
He's trying to play along, but he's also very upset with me.
Sometimes I know something is happening, but I don't know what.
That's my favorite look on your face, by the way.
I know.
Just mistrust, suspicion.
Yeah. Suspicion.
Yeah.
But not quite being able to figure it out.
Oh, so fun. Hey, Badibo.
Hello. Welcome into the
Bedito
Troggies.
man. I just wanted to try to say your name out loud.
Bedito man.
Bedito man.
You're gonna sing that now.
In my head for sure.
In your head for a while, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's very much.
I remember
it's this guy. If this guy had a name, this is the Bedito man.
That is the spiritual embodiment of your mischief.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Yeah.
We're having a good
When
time.
I was in Mary Elaine's stream the other day, she said that one of the things that she likes to do to let off steam is go into YouTube videos that have a load of comments on them and just comment first. Which is just such. When she said that, I was just like, that is ridiculous.
Oh, I love that.
What a
so
silly way to
much.
spend your time.
What a fun little troll that I bet people get so mad at. I bet people comment every single time.
Yeah, she said that she gets like so mad.
Oh my God, what a perfectly baited hook. What a wonderful, pointless troll.
Yeah,
that you're
she's
only going to get
excellent.
people who can't let shit go. So it's like, fuck them.
If you don't follow Mary Elaine Robertson, what are you doing?
Yeah, get involved, guys. Watching
get
her put
involved.
together IKEA furniture alone is worth the price of admission.
Watching her do anything, like watching her paint that thing on her wall was excellent.
Crashed into a
watching her
lighthouse,
try
man.
to crash into a lighthouse.
Crashed into a lighthouse.
Don't know how you do that, but she crashed into a lighthouse. She even tried to do streams of like when she had no voice. She was just doing miming streams.
So good. So good.
Only Mary Elaine.
Love it. Did I tell you I had to do that at a coffee shop that I worked at for a while?
Really?
Yeah, because like I came over to the UK. It was before I moved here. I was living in Montreal, and I went over to the UK to test it out. So I went over for like a month. I did 3 weeks of shows, and then I went to Glastonbury to work it with my friends. And that was like that was the last week, and so I was already exhausted. And then you're gonna fit in just fine. The UK is gross, and we just drank constantly, and we worked long shifts at the cheese stand, and we never slept, and it was fucking wonderful. But by the end, I was exhausted to the point where my whole body gave out, and like I had nothing left. I'd pushed it too far, and something like there was like a reaction in my mouth, and I just had like pain in my mouth.
Shit.
It was awful. Like it was real bad. And I just couldn't talk because it hurt too much to talk. But I also needed money because I'd been away for a month. And so I spoke to the owner of the cafe, and he was like, just work the till and people get it. How many things do you say to people at the till? And so I just worked there, and I was like,
Did anyone ever ask you, or were they just?
Montreal's full of fucking weirdos. They loved it. They were everybody was on board. They didn't know if I was ill or if I was just being a silly bitch, but everyone got on board. Yeah, so it was like, but it was I had to do that for like a week and a half. And luckily all the staff were fucking on board. They were really cool, but it was an odd time to be alive. Couldn't do stand-up, obviously. Did not try to do mime. At no point did I indulge in that. I stayed away from the stage, but yeah, it was fucking weird.
I lost my voice on stage once, as in I was struggling anyway, really, really struggling. And then there was one gig, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, where it just went out. It just cut out halfway through my set. It just, nothing else could come out.
Wow.
And it was like, it was during the Fringe, 1 o'clock in the morning gig, and my voice just went, and I just went, because I could also, it was going for a minute beforehand. So I was just like, guys, I think my voice is not gonna last. And then it ended up working in a weird way. Like it shouldn't have, but it did, where I had it was one of the few times I'd had a drink with me on stage, and I took a sip of it, and I was just like, That's whiskey. That's not helping the situation at all. But for some reason, the way I said it, it got a big laugh, and then my voice just stopped working. But because it had gotten that laugh, they just liked it, and I just walked off the stage, and it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of 1 a.m. gigs is fucking chaos reigns, and they want to see something immediate. That they don't want to hear your jokes at 1 a.m. They want to see you lose your voice and drink whiskey to fix it because you're silly.
Yeah.
Where were you doing a gig at 1 a.m?
Fringe.
Yeah. Was it late in live? Were you doing late in live?
Am I frozen?
A little. You're choppy.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're
there. You go. You're back now.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was during the Fringe.
Late,
it wasn't late in live. I've never done late in live before.
It's not worth it. The host is a real jerk.
I agree. He's very egotistical, and sometimes he just silent farts on trains.
This is a Great Western Railway service to London Abbey.
Yeah, it was in the Beehive during the Fringe. Comp show.
The only
rough, man. It was weird.
The only award I ever won at the Edinburgh Fringe was I won Car Crash Comedy, which is you went up and had to improvise while the audience heckled at you, and you won toy cars and £10. And me and Nick Beaton would go every night because we were so poor in the 2012 Fringe. And just try and get that £10 and then just buy beers and drink it in an alley.
I love that. That's great. I remember my first Fringe, the two guys that I did my split show with, we would eke out whatever fucking money we managed to get from our terrible show in our terrible room. And it would be like £7. We did it, guys. We're good. We're drinking tonight. Let's go.
My train's so I'm going to cut out. Chris, tell Ashley the story of the first night of that run, because I factor in it.
I'm
done.
very intrigued.
So it was. I think we might have told this before, but we. So I was up there with my buddy Sam and Yalmar, and we. Yeah, he was just being weird, wasn't he, Kimmers? If you're watching on YouTube, you didn't get to see. It was a BD dog.
Yeah, or listening to the podcast. We've just decided to ban somebody from the chat.
It's just giving us weird vibes. Just giving us
weird vibes.
Yep.
Weird vibes.
Yep. Talked about
Didn't
it
say
in the
too
private
offensive,
chat.
but just meh.
Yeah, just odd. Just odd.
Just nah. Not our vibe.
No chill.
And that's
no
okay.
chill.
No chill. Yeah, we were definitely getting some pro-gun anti-masker vibes.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he mentioned if he was just being a weirdo, but regardless, just get the fuck out of here. Yeah. So we showed up and we're at John's show, and we're amped because our first show ever at the Edinburgh Fringe is tomorrow. We're all excited. We've never been up before.
What year is this?
2013, maybe.
Okay.
I think so. I think it was 2013. The show we called the show We're New Here.
So your first time doing the Fringe, you did a split bill with John.
No, I did it with Yalmar Chan and Sam Golan, neither of which do stand up anymore. They're the two guys that fell out halfway through.
Okay.
So we did. It was at the Three Sisters. It was in the staff room, which is now like an actual room, but at the time was a literal staff room. There were stains on the walls. It was across the hall from the toilets. It was disgusting.
Stains of what?
We don't know. Some were red, some were brown. Wasn't good.
Ooh,
wasn't good.
Not good.
You hope it's chocolate and lasagna, but yeah. So we're amped. We're ready. We're like, all right, Edinburgh. We love John. John's our friend. Let's go watch John do a show, and then that'll get us into the spirit. And we're talking to John outside his show. We're on the staircase, and he goes, "I think you guys have a show in 20 minutes." And we're like, "Nope, no, it's tomorrow." And he looks on his phone, brings up the listing. He's like, "You have a show in 20 minutes."
Shit.
20 goddamn minutes. And so we're like, "Well, good to see you." And just ran, showed up. Room was full for no reason. Room was just full. And we jumped in, did our best. Reviewer had a reviewer in. First show, first ever. And 2 stars. Totally fair.
That's so funny.
Yeah, from the Skinny. There it is. And I remember another comedian. Yeah, Kimbers, what is that? It's very odd. Another comedian was like trying to like get in our heads. She was like, she's one of those like, I'm gonna Machiavelli you kind of comics. And she came up and she was like, oof, I saw your review in the Skinny. That's too bad. That's a big publication. But I was just like, no, they nailed it. Show was bad. It was bad. Show. We didn't even know we were doing our show that day. And she was so annoyed that she didn't get into my head that she just left.
That's so evil. What a manipulative little like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to him about his bad review and make him feel worse about it. Like,
yeah, I put her name, you know her. I put her name in the private chat.
Oh, yes, please. Okay, that's funny. Yeah. I kind of like that story about that person.
Yeah.
It was weird. I've never met that person, but I just don't. Like, I don't know what the rest of that sentence is, but I just don't.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. Oh, Diamond found the review. The Skinny said you were the strongest of the 3.
That's hopeful. That is hopeful.
Diamond, send me a WhatsApp and I'll answer you. Diamond's cool. Diamond's allowed a couple peeks behind the curtain.
Just the odd one.
So that person is actually one of the first people I met when I started doing stand-up in the UK. And we got along really well because we were both like really driven. We both came over for a reason. We were both working hard at it. And so we got along super well. But then, like, I knew people that were very good friends with her. I knew people that lived with her. I knew stories were starting to come out. And then she started getting weird with me. She was doing things like that. So it's that kind of thing of like, she was always really nice to me when she didn't see me as a threat. And then when I get a little bit of a bump, she'd get cold again. Because I wasn't
fucking shitty.
I wasn't big enough to help her. I was only big enough to take away some of her limelight as she was sort of climbing up. So is that like, if you're big, then they love you and they're sycophants. And if you're low level, then they're like either dismissive or like, if they like you, then they're like, oh, cool. This is, champion this person because they might be big one day. And then if you're at the same level, they're like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. I remember a friend of mine. He's one of my good friends who I'm intending to have on this show at some point. He just never seems to be available. But he sent me a message, or he didn't send me a message. We were talking one day, and we were kind of talking a little bit about there's a lot of that bullshit in the Irish scene. So this is an Irish comedian I'm talking about.
Diamond just laughed when I told
nice.
That tracks.
Yeah. Same reaction as me, I guarantee. So we were just chatting one day about some of this bullshit or whatever, and he said he had been listening to I think it might have been Ari Shafir, but I could be wrong, and he might not have even been listening to him, but it's something, I think it was Ari Shafir had said something along the lines of rather than trying to make friends with people who are ahead of you and use them to pull yourself forward, make friends at your own level and rise together.
That's it. Yeah.
And he said, but he had we'd been talking about some of this bullshit in the industry, and he said that to me, and it sort of was just this nice thing of like us acknowledging that we're going to aim to do that together as pals. And it was nice, just a nice little moment. But it's a nice thing of like, make your own pals and rise together, because eventually, hopefully someday, you're going to be the people that people want to be friends with.
Yeah,
because you're ahead of them.
We're not like, don't hope that you get dragged into something. Build something.
Build something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with people that like and you trust and you believe in, and as opposed to just kind of like standing at the edge of the conversation circle
Yeah.
And just you know, sit with your friends. Like all the best ideas I've had have been when I was fucking around with my friends, and then they helped me build it. I've helped them build their stuff, and it's always like, oh, this is so goddamn fun.
Yeah.
And it's way better. It's so much better that way.
I mean, even this show, like, I am aware that yourself and John are you're so much further ahead of me in the game than I am, but that's not why this has come about. This whole show has happened very organically. It's very
So if you were trying to hitch yourself to a couple of stars, you did a fucking bad job.
Yeah. I could have done a little bit better, but you know,
yeah.
I'm definitely
you already opened for Allison and Fern. Like, fucking get on it.
Yeah, I mean, but I am picking up a few little things that are really nice, of like little bits of tips and tricks from you guys, and ride their coattails all the way to the middle.
That's right, baby. Plateau.
So yeah, but like I don't even know where I was going with that point, but just that.
But yeah, surrounding yourself with people that you want to work with and people that you enjoy
Yeah.
the company of, and something that you think
Yeah, exactly.
your skills are complementary, and you can sort of
And actually, even on the Allison and Fern thing, you know, a few people have said, they haven't said anything specific, but there's been like a little bit of an undertone of like, why did you get to do that kind of thing?
Oh, that's always
Yeah, I mean, because I supported Allison 3 months into doing stand up, 4 months maybe. I should not have been doing that.
By the way, if we'd started out together and you'd opened for someone 3 months in, and I've been going a couple years, I'd have been like, what the fuck is going? Why did they?
Yeah. It is a natural reaction at some point, but you don't need to act on that reaction.
No, I never message you about it. I just sit with my friends and be like, what? What happened?
Yeah, and the thing is, I never would have tried to make that happen. It was actually a friend of mine said, Allison is gigging in your hometown, you should send her a message and see if that could happen.
Yeah.
And then Allison was just the wonderful person that she is and sent me a message back being like, yeah, fair play for asking. Most people wouldn't think to do that.
Nice.
So it was just like, it was just somebody had recommended it and I gave it a chance and it happened. And then I ended up with Fern. It was the same. It was totally, even more so with Fern, it was purely by chance that I'd kind of ended up working with her and stuff. So, yeah. But there are people who have kind of looked at that and gone, you don't deserve that, or you've not worked hard enough for that yet. Like, don't get too big for your boots now.
Well,
that's a real Irish thing as well, though. Don't get too far ahead of your station now.
Yeah, that's the part that I never understood, because like, I mean, you know, I'm a comic. I suffer from jealousies, but you know, as much as anybody. But I never got mad at the person.
Yeah, resentment is a different thing to jealousy.
Well, also, it's not like they booked themselves.
Yeah.
They didn't make that choice. They made themselves available, or they put themselves forward. Like, you messaged Allison. It's not like you blackmailed her. It's not like you fucking tricked her into doing it. The person made a decision, and it's like, all right, well, how do I become the person that they decide on next time?
Yeah.
It's like, you can't be mad at the person that got it. They didn't hire themselves. It's the same. I look at that the same way I look at when people are like, oh, these people are hiring all these Mexicans. And it's like, that's not the Mexicans' fault, dude. Even if that was true and Mexicans are working, people hired these illegal people. Like, that's not, why aren't you mad at those people who could have hired you?
Yeah.
It's such a weird way of looking at it, to be like, I'm going to blame the person where there will be no consequences for me blaming. It's just so cowardly. Welcome back. Third installment, John Hastings. We're talking about
resenting other people's success.
Opening for Allison Spittle and Fern Brady when she was new.
Yes. I was very resentful of Ashley's early success, and John Hastings. Yeah, very exciting. How did you get that gig?
I mean, that's the one that everyone talks about now.
That's right.
Weirdly, didn't get that gig because of this show.
No.
Well, It wasn't either of
Didn't John
our
say
ideas.
you're
So
gonna open for me? I thought that was the. I thought you guys told the Monkey Barrel that was the case. That was gonna happen.
I was gonna suggest it, and they just suggested it first. Like I had the idea, but I don't get the
nice.
credit
Yeah.
because they suggested it first, which is very annoying. I also had the idea. But yeah, looking at other people's achievements and getting resentful is it's just it doesn't do anything. I did it for so long. It served me no purpose, and I don't care. Like it's just it's a waste of your time.
yeah.
Yeah, Diamond. It's easier to complain than try. Very often the case.
Yeah.
That is true.
How's your trade? Where are you now?
I don't know. Nope, can't see a sign. I don't know.
Engage, John. Engage with your destination.
No.
It's meant to be about the journey, not the destination.
God, but when you take that journey, I remember when I just stopped looking out the window for 6 months. I just didn't even bother. I was like,
what?
I've fucking seen it. The number of times when I was on trains, I was like, I've done this train 8 times in the last 2 months. I don't care about anything that's out there. Fuck this place.
Oh man.
Oh, of course. I also like I'm just leaving Will Hodgson's do sleep in that hat.
Broomstickery. In my mind, John sleeps in that hat.
Gets washed when he showers. John's gone.
He's gone.
John's
He's gone.
He hit that West Country blank spot.
I guarantee he tried to look at something in the chat and accidentally left the stream.
Oh, I hope so. I
think that's what happened.
That's so much more fun.
Yeah, it's fun when he does that.
It's glued on.
It's glued onto his head.
What was it? Tiger's Doug Stanhope has a bit on that. Basically, if they're employing people who can't speak your language to do your job, that doesn't speak well of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very, very good point.
Yeah.
I thought that was his hair.
There is something like weird about, like I remember realizing how common that sort of jealousy was when I was sort of new and I didn't get picked to do a show for a Valentine's Day show, but a couple like new comics with me did. And I remember talking to the booker and thinking like, not even being mad about it. I remember seeing it and being like, good, like there's no way I should be booked for the show. My material is the opposite of romantic. I have no fucking jokes that suit this. But I remember asking the booker, I was like, I don't, because I was 8 months in maybe. And I was like, I want you to know, like, I'm glad you didn't book me. I wouldn't have booked me for this show. I'm just wondering, like, what goes into the thought process when you book it? Like, how much do you take into account their style or their work or their ability? Like, how does that work? And he was like, first off, thanks for knowing that you're not right for it. You'd be amazed at how many people will just scream at me.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh. He said, yeah, it was like a sense of entitlement is sort of comes with the territory of stand-up, which I think part of it is it's a very manifest destiny industry of just like, you have to believe that you're going to be good at it because you're bad for so long.
So long.
You just have to be like, no, I'm
still bad.
And people are going to fucking see it.
Yeah.
You're good, but in a year, you're going to look back at what you're doing and be embarrassed by it. Because that's how growth in comedy works. I'm embarrassed by everything I did 6 months ago, every 6 months. I look back and I can't believe that I thought that was good. And I'm mad at the audience for laughing. How dare you encourage this fucking bum?
I'm not that bad for that. There's still some of my very early stuff that I'll fall back to every now and then because I'm like, it's still a good joke.
Yeah.
I have a joke about vaginal acupuncture that every time I say it, and it's something to do with those 2 words together.
Such a fun 2 words, vaginal acupuncture.
They're fun 2 words together. So it's just kind of like, it doesn't really matter how good or bad the joke is. It's just an image that people immediately react to.
Absolutely. And it's great because it's like acupuncture is supposed to be relaxing, but that's such a tense situation.
Yeah. Well, what the bit is it's basically saying that
Cameron's like, God, I crossed my legs at those words.
What it is it's meant to be an insult to somebody who sent me a dick pic that they've sent me something that doesn't look that inviting.
Yeah.
And because it's long and skinny, it makes me think of vaginal acupuncture, and
that's funny.
That's kind of the joke.
That's funny.
But that's like that's one of my first sets. You know, but every now and then I'm just like, I missed that joke. I'm gonna bring it back.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what'll happen? You'll bring it back and you'll make it better. You won't tell the joke as you told it. You'll naturally change words and timing, and so it's like there's so many premises that I've come back to. Where I'm like, what a waste that was of that fucking that's like, I'm gonna fix that now. And then you come back to it and that's great. But the joke itself.
Yeah. A joke is never done, I guess. That's been said a lot, is that a joke is never done. And I guess, that joke has had several lives already. But there's like a few fundamental punches in the joke that have never changed. Those two words and a few others.
I had a joke about the class system that I wrote really early on after moving to the UK. And it was like, it was a banker, it was a go-to for a while. And then I put it down for 3 years. And then I was just doing like a late night show at the Fringe. And I was like, I haven't told this joke in a while. Let me try it. And I just told what I could remember of it. It crushed. And I was like, bringing this back right now. And then it was one of my hosting jokes. Because British people and I have nothing in common. And so it's only when I talk about them that we tend to get along, especially when I'm emceeing on the road. And so I'd always throw it in. And they loved it. And it was just the whole point of it. But it was like, it would get better every single time. And I'd be like, oh, this is what's funny about it. Not what I thought was funny about it. This is like, because you have that. It's so funny when you have an idea, like the one that always sticks out to me, because I think it was because it was early and because it took me so long to get it right, was that the emergency number in the States is 911.
Right.
And because I remember sitting on a curb, I was drinking a coffee in New York, and a cop car just stopped in front of me, not to talk to me, just having to park there. And it just, on the back of the car, it said, in case of emergency, call 911. And I just started laughing. And I was like, I know that's funny. And I wrote so many fucking jokes about that. And it took me 1.5 to 2 years to get it right. So long. And then when I got it,
is one of those things where it's like, yes, this is funny, but where is it? Like, where is the joke?
Yeah. How do you show? Because it's all about communication. How do I communicate what's funny about it? And because it's like, it's New York and it's 9/11 and people are still like kind of tense. It was like 10 years ago or like 8 years ago when I first thought of it. And so it was just like trying. And then the way that I ended up getting it was, what they should do is every September 11th, they should just change the 911 emergency hotline to the 911 emergency hotline, where whenever you call up, they don't help you. They just put your problems into context by comparing it to 9/11.
That's a good joke. That's a good joke.
It took me so long to get there.
Yeah.
But when I got it, I was like, oh,
I can see how that would be a walk to get to.
Yeah, it was just like, well, do I come at it from the cops, or do I come at it from the terrorists, or do I come at it from people calling, or do I come at it from 9/11 operators, or 911 operators? 9/11 operators are terrorists. It was, but yeah, it took so long, and it was so rewarding when I got it. And even now, like, I haven't told that joke. I don't think I've told that joke in 5 or 6 years now. But like, if I brought it back, it would be totally different. I already know 3 of the punchlines in that joke that I would change just off the top of my head.
Just right now.
It's like, I see why I thought that was funny enough, and it's not. And
I have the bit that I forgot to do when I supported John, when I opened for John, is still a work in progress bit. Like, I still know that it's not finished and that it needs a lot of work, because the premise is very much a topic that you're going to have to work on anyway. The premise is rape fantasy. Like,
oh yeah, that's one.
You're going to have to sell that.
You got to find exactly the right angle. Have you seen Sarah Silverman talk about that?
No.
She has this great thing. It's in, I can't remember which I'll find out which documentary it's in. I'll send it to you. But there's a line in it where she goes, it's so great when you tell a joke about something that's heartbreaking, and you have to make it funnier than it is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And that's such a great moment, because it's so hard to do. But when you get it, oh my God. And the crowd respects it. They're so happy that you did it too.
Uh-huh. Well,
No,
I mean,
not the aristocrats. It's a different
I
one.
have a little bit of that with the baby massacre joke.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that
where-
joke, but that checks out. That checks out for sure.
So I have a joke that references the Tomb Baby Massacre in Ireland.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of those ones where every time I say it, it's the room reacts, but it is a good joke.
Mhm.
And any Irish person that's heard it generally kind of comes up and says, that's a really good joke. But I started for a little bit, I was doing a thing afterwards where I was saying, I was worried that when I started doing that joke outside of Ireland, people weren't going to find it funny because they didn't know what I was talking about. But it turns out people are willing to laugh at the concept of a septic tank full of dead babies out of context. So I sort of started doing that after the joke, but now I've kind of realized it sort of flattens the joke a little bit. So I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then you got to cut it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it doesn't improve the joke, then it's got to go.
Yeah. I'm still not really sure what it is. What I've started doing instead is actually just saying I didn't put them there. And that's getting a better reaction. So I think I'm going to stick with that for a little while. But the rape fantasy joke works, but it needs more to become a whole bit.
Yeah.
And what I did start doing with it for a little while was because one of the first times I ever told that joke was in a comedy club in Cork.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 2 formal complaints against the comedy club that I told it in because of it. So the owner of the club, the owner of the club told me what they'd said. So one person had said that if a man had gotten up on stage and said the same thing, he wouldn't get away with it. And
it's nonsense, but fine.
Yeah. It's nonsense. But what I started doing with that, so basically I started saying after I did the joke, one of the first times I told this joke, it got 2 complaints. This is what they said. And I would do that bit. And then what I would do is I would get a man up on stage from the audience to repeat the line.
That's funny. And that must have gotten a laugh. That must have gotten a huge laugh.
It would get a laugh, but I never fully figured out how to control the laugh that it got.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's always risky bringing somebody from the audience up, and I'm not great at crowd work. Like it's not my best. It's not what I'm strongest at. So I sort of couldn't figure out how to direct it so that it definitely hit. And so I sort of gave up on it. And then the second complaint that it got was from a young woman who said, that's not a very empowering position for a woman to
shut up.
Take.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was one that I really had to, I'm going to bring John back.
Hello.
I just want to
John,
say,
I'm talking about...
thank God there's not 2 men on screen. Thank God. What were we talking about? Oh God.
So I'm talking about the joke that I forgot to do at your show, the rape fantasy joke, and how I've been still trying to figure out what to do with it. And so one of the complaints I got about it once was that a woman said it wasn't a very empowering position for a woman to take. Yeah, but I did have to think about it and go, do I agree with her? I did have to kind of sit back and go, is that true? And then I realized she's just not been choked well enough. And but no, I realized I didn't agree with her, but that maybe I would need to work that into the set in a way so that I could make it very clear what it was I was putting across. So yeah, I don't know. It's still a work in progress bit. And it was honestly, it was going to be like the main arc of my show for quite a while, but I don't think it is anymore, but it's still going to be there. I don't know.
Cool.
I think you should add if it's not very empowering to women, or you just haven't been choked part before to say, you should say that on
so
stage.
it is is something I have done, but it's just still being tweaked and worked on.
I'd say don't make it a comment from the crowd. Say a conversation you were having with a friend.
Yes, I would say that exactly.
Make it personal.
Yeah,
Make it personal.
I think what's kind of selling though,
and he doesn't choke properly. That's the
yeah. One thing that does sell kind of well though is that the joke got complained about. And a line that always gets a laugh, because I do a joke early in my set about how Cork is quite sexually repressed.
Yeah.
And so something that always works is that I say, one of the first times I told that joke was I got 2 complaints against the comedy club that I told it in. I think it's relevant that club was in Cork, which is a callback to the earlier material. Always gets a laugh. It always gets a laugh.
Oh, John's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, with stuff like that, it's like, especially if people are worried about it being like, oh, are you being a role model, or you do it's if you can make it like as personal as possible, make it
you
nice
don't have to be a role model.
No, that's the whole point of feminism, is you can just be whatever the fuck you are. But in my understanding, but if you can take stuff like that seems big and just make it nice and small.
Yeah.
And that's the key, is like anything big, make it small. Anything small, make it big. That's everything. And so so if you can take that and not make it like this, oh, what does it say about women? It's just like, I just fucking, there's just something about it. And you talking to your friend about it, and her being mad at you, but you know her boyfriend, and like you can tell by the look in her eye when she's talking about fucking that he's not doing it. There's no
there is definitely,
and there's jokes being about her boyfriend and about her taste, or like what she's into and stuff like that. Like, that's right. But her boyfriend likes to be pegged, so it's not
there's a lot of work to be done on that, for sure. And I think it's there, and I think the joke gets enough of a reaction that I know I'm going somewhere with it, and I'm looking forward to whatever it's going to be at some point. But I did a comic reminded or talked to me about it recently. I haven't gigged with this person since before the pandemic, and we were chatting at just a drinks night, and he just said, what was that line you used to do, or maybe you still do? He was just like, what's that line, the awful one? And I told him the rape fantasy line, and he was like, yeah, every time you say that, I'm just like, God, that's a terrible thing to say.
But he remembered it.
He remembers it though.
And it's such a cool, like, stuff like that's great, because that is, that's not something a lot of people will admit to. And so there's a real vulnerability. Maybe there's something in, like, because there's a vulnerability to wanting to be choked, and there's a vulnerability to talking about it. I wonder if there's like a link to that. But there's like a really cool, audiences are attracted to that. They love, because they're being let in, and so it's like, if you can do that and then make it very funny, that's like, people will absolutely. That's how you get fans. They go, and they won't know your name at first, but they'll be like, rape fantasy in the street. Like,
semen allergy. Yeah, that's the one I get all the time at the moment. Well, because I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has realized that it's a feature of this show that I will just say and admit to a lot of things that most people won't. And John's even passed comment about things like that, where what was the thing he really? Oh, he said I was the first woman he's ever met that admitted that I might pay for sex. And I'm just like, I don't care about saying things like that. It just doesn't faze me at all. So I don't know.
People are like weird about admitting things about themselves, though. They can fucking tense. Like I was waiting in the back to go on stage the other day, and I just ripped a fart, like a nasty one, because I didn't want to do it on stage. So I just got
That's
rid
not
of it.
the same
right?
as saying something.
And no, but so what happened was I did it because no one was around. I was like, I got
Oh,
space.
right. Okay.
I don't want to
Okay.
upset
Fair
anybody.
enough.
And then immediately the promoter walked right up to me and just started talking. And after about 30 seconds, he went, Jesus, someone fucking farted in here. I was like, oh yeah, that was me. Sorry about that. That is real bad. I didn't even have it. I was like, yeah, that's me. And afterwards he was like, good for you for admitting to it. And I was like, Jesus, how much of your life do you live in fear? That is,
Yeah.
you gotta just let this shit out.
Yeah, it's so like it's not worthwhile. You end up you're just keeping so many secrets from yourself.
Hey, just feel free. Speaking of feeling free, Shona Bear coming in here. I think I popped a hemorrhoid at like 2 a.m. today. Living the
Yes.
fucking dream. Go on,
Yes.
Shona. Go on.
Yeah. I mean that's sort of what my show is sort of almost becoming, like that's nearly what it's going to be about in a weird way, is talking about those things that you're not really supposed to want to feel or think or fantasize about. Because I think that there's a similar, this is definitely a heavy thing to say, but I think that there's a similar thing going on with rape fantasy, and then I think something that's not talked about enough is suicide fantasy, which is definitely something that people deal with, but don't maybe realize that it is a different thing sometimes to being suicidal, and that's not really talked about enough. And sorry, this is probably the kind of thing that needs to come with it.
Phenomenal.
If you're
time to
following
follow.
right now,
Love
you're
it.
gonna enjoy the show. Like
So good. I mean, the name
This is-
seems like a bot, but I choose to believe this is a person that was like,
I think it
you
might
had
be
me
a
at rape
person.
fantasy.
You had
but
me
then
at rape
suicide
fantasy.
I'm in.
Sealed the deal.
Let's
Seal the
engage.
deal then with suicide fantasy. And
What is,
I don't
I've never
want
heard of
to.
suicide fantasy. What is that?
It's not necessarily a sex thing, but I'm
But just sort of like casual ideation, sort of.
casual ideation, or even full blown ideation, but no intent. Or even I don't know. There might be intent, but you just fantasize a lot. But that's something that I've dealt with. Basically, is a lot of suicide fantasy. And I don't want to dwell on this too much because I'm aware it's the kind of thing that people maybe don't want to think about. That's fine, but all it is that I think what they are is they're these areas of life that we don't have control over, and so by fantasizing about them, you can maybe find a way to try and control your feelings about them.
That makes sense.
And so that's kind of what I'm trying to get at with the show, which is sort of
It's a big swing. It's a big swing.
This is a big, it's a big thing to try and communicate through stand-up.
Yeah, totally doable, and especially at the Fringe, because you don't have to be funny first there. But
Yeah.
I would say that if you get to May and you feel like you have a good show but you haven't quite accomplished that, don't worry about pushing that down the road a little bit,
Yeah.
because that's a big one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the kind of thing I don't really want to do until it's solid, or until I at least feel solid about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's real hard. That's those big. So yeah, some of the stuff that people do Edinburgh shows about. It's so funny when like some people do like incredible, like holy shit, that's amazing shows. You know, obviously like the big one was Nanette. Like that was the like wow, what is this? But then like what my favorite is the people who try to do that about things that don't matter.
Yeah.
Like it mattered to them, but it's not. It's sort of like more of a day-to-day occurrence for people. So
Yeah.
it's like the Dead Dad Show is a classic, and it's like a lot of people have lost their parents, bro. Like this is not. Or my favorite, my absolute favorite, and it was a comic that I love and I'm a fan of, but he did this, and it was the broken fiance, like a broken engagement show. And I remember someone in the crowd said while he was on stage, "Why should I care about this?"
Oh my god, that's great.
Because they're trying to like make it this big thing because it was so big to them, but it's like you need to step out for a second, bud. You're not in the same category here.
Yeah.
Not even a marriage breakup, an engagement. You need to fucking
Yeah.
You need to rearrange your.
It is funny. It is funny when you see people who think they can be emotional and that they think they can tap into something like that, but they just actually don't know trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't your wheelhouse, and that's fine.
That's okay. You don't have to be
Totally
that.
fine. Yeah. That was, I mean, I remember doing Joke Thieves with like a young gay comic, and his set was mostly about sort of being gay and things that he worked on and
Yeah.
living in a heteronormative world and everything. And my jokes were just about stuff. And I remember going up, and I had a blast doing his stuff because I just did it as a straight guy.
Yeah.
So I just did he was very animated and sort of big, and I just did it very low key. I was very still, and I told the same jokes, but I just made them straight. And that
Right.
was just a little tweak, and it was so fun. I really enjoyed
That's
it.
great.
But I remember him going up and being like, while he was on stage, he was just like, I think he talked about the class system, and there was a joke about flags, and it was like, yeah, man, there was a lot. And he was like, wait, is being a straight comic hard? And it was like, no,
oh my god, that's so great.
I just have nothing to lean on. I just have to, I don't have the identity to draw on because mine's been normal.
Yeah.
Mine's been perceived as the normal for so long that I don't have any fish out of water stuff. So I would never dare try. And that's what so many like the new alt-right comics are trying to do, being like, well, as a white man, it's like, it's too new, bud. You don't, nope, it's not. And they're trying to do it's like, you can't, you're complaining about a broken engagement in a rape fantasy world. That's what's happening right now. You've grossly overestimated your engagement in this.
It's a rape fantasy world, folks.
Yeah. Engage or not.
Don't be a
But it'll get
broken
you.
engagement in a rape fantasy world. I want that on one of those quote posters.
Yeah.
On like over a picture of a sunset or something.
I'm gonna get you a notebook that says that in like inspirational cursive on the front.
John will have enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the raid message.
The raid message. Yeah. It's the raid message for sure.
Cross stitch pillow, absolutely. Excellent.
Oh my god, that'd be an excellent cross stitch pillow. Rape fantasy and broken engagement must have a strong Venn diagram overlap.
I don't know.
Oh no, I would think so, actually.
Oh yeah? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Merch. Shona Bear, if you want to make cross stitch pillow merch for us. You
that would be not even for us. If you want to
that.
make it, we'll sell it for you. We'll actively advertise your Etsy account. We don't want to.
Yeah.
If you went to all the work of cross stitching a pillow that said "Don't be a broken engagement in a rape fantasy world," I don't want a cut of that. That's you.
No, that's all you. You deserve
I said
every
the words,
penny.
but you fucking made a pillow. Congratulations.
Yeah. We have crossed the 90-minute mark.
Nice one.
I really have to pee.
All right. Get out of here. Who should we raid?
Who shall we raid? I am in the wrong view. How do I
I mean,
find
if we're making that the raid message, which I'm not sure I condone.
I feel like Fox Comedy is the only one
Fox
that
is the only one. Yeah.
He's the only one we can raid with that message. Yeah. He's definitely the only one.
But
so yeah,
I feel
we'll
like
do
that's
that.
a big mood shift to have 30 odd people just show up with.
Nah, Fox can handle that.
All right. I want it on the record that I was reticent.
It's not. No, Fox can totally handle it.
All right. Oh, by
We're
the way,
happy for that.
Shona, before we go, I don't know if you heard or if you saw the comment that Shona put in my Discord, but apparently she was on Tinder and saw a dude that looked like me, and his name was Chris, so she had to swipe left on him. She was like, I can't. It's too close. Nope. And got rid of him.
That's so funny. That's excellent.
So funny. So funny.
The raid message. Oh, hang on. John has just
we almost had
re-entered.
John. We almost had John, but he's gone again.
He's not there. No. Okay. We'll let him know what the raid message was. So my phone also suggests bets if I type Chris.
Fuck yeah,
That's
baby.
excellent.
This is a Great Western Railway service to London Paddington.
What have you guys been talking about since I've been gone?
Mostly this. Don't be a broken engagement in a rape fantasy world, John.
Don't tell me how to live my life, guys. Sometimes you just have to.
Steve, I'm uncomfortable with this, and it was my suggestion. Yes.
Oh my god.
Well, that's the raid message, John.
I officially reticent, but all right. If we're doing it, we're doing it. I believe in everyone.
What's the raid message going to be?
Don't be a broken engagement in a rape fantasy world.
Really glad I wasn't really here for this one. I got to tell you, this is going to be much easier for me to apologize for since I wasn't a part of it.
Do we have any? What's the thing? Plugs. That's what we do at the end of the show.
I got nothing. I'm just gigging. So catch me here. Give us a follow. Join our Patreon.
Join our Patreon. You'll get 2 episodes at Christmas.
That's right.
John?
Just go buy my albums. I don't know. Hang out. Have a great time. Be nice to each other.
Yeah, be excellent to each other.
Buy a homeless person something tomorrow. That's what I'm plugging.
Aw.
That's nice.
Probably I've been banned because of you guys once in my life.
No. That's really funny. My plug is join the Patreon, do all of that. We have only 2 shows left before Christmas. We're doing our final show on Thursday, so come along and see that. I won't be here tomorrow night,
and I'll be late,
and John will be late, and we're hopefully going to have found a guest.
And I forgot to book a guest host. So
Okay, so we'll see what happens. Tomorrow night will be a surprise for everybody involved. Yeah, cool. Okay, let's cue the old lady.
All right. Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Bye. We're still here.
Where's the old lady? Oh, I thought you were doing it.
And that's all. Penis into her vagina. And that's all. That's called sexual intercourse. Some people call it having sex. So the man passes the sperm to the woman, and now his sperm is in her. Maybe you're wondering if a mistake could be made.